Okay, Agun Erev Shabbos, Rabbi Sai, Parshas Noach. Everybody knows already, it goes without saying, that this is your favorite time of the week. Not only because it's almost Shabbos, and everyone, of course, is looking forward to the Yom HaMenucha. We know that the definition of being Shomer Shabbos is eagerly, anxiously awaiting Shabbos Kodesh. But it's also your favorite time of the week because we get to study some imponderables, some questions on the parsha, and gets our mind going. We have what to talk about, and away we go. So, Noach's Tava. It was made out of a special kind of wood. What kind of wood? Aseh lecha tevas atzei goifer. Make for yourself a teva out of goifer wood. Rashi says, what's goifer wood? That's its name. Why this? Because since it was decreed that the generation of the Mabul will be destroyed with gopherus, with sulfur, so therefore Noach was told to use goifer wood. Why? Because it sounds like gopherus. Wow, what a good reason. Why is that a reason to make the teva out of goifer wood? I mean, that almost indicates there were better woods to make a teva out of, but they wouldn't sound like the destructive agent in the water that was killing the generation. So Hashem said, no, use atzei goifer, because that it was decreed on the generation that they should be wiped out in gopherus. Okay, does that sound like a compelling reason to you? There must be something deeper over here. Somehow, was this a message to Noach? Don't forget about the troubles of the people suffering in the gopherus. You know, don't enjoy yourself on your cruise for a year, but whenever you see the goifer wood, you'll remember the suffering of the people. Or was it a message to Noach? Hey Noach, you know, really, you should have been destroyed in the gopherus, but I had mercy on you. You were matzachin be'enai. Okay, something to think about. Let's go to Parak Ches. Let's go to Parak Vav, Pasuk Yud Ches. The pasuk says, "V'hakimoisias brisi itach." I'm going to fulfill my covenant with you. Says Rashi, what kind of covenant? Covenant that the fruits won't rot, and that he wouldn't be killed by the wicked of the generation. So question, how did Rashi know that this covenant included two things? That it was a covenant that the food wouldn't rot, and that Noach wouldn't be killed. Maybe there was only a covenant with one. Maybe there's only a singular covenant. How does Rashi know? How does Rashi see in the pasuk that the covenant included both things? Okay. Now I want to point out something else also, very interesting. The pasuk says, Parak Vav, pasuk Yud Zayin. Va'ani hineni mevias hamabul mayim al haaretz l'shaches kol basar asher boi ruach chayim kol asher ba'aretz yigva. Everything on the earth will die. And I was waiting for Rashi to say, everything will die, but not the fish. Everything on the earth will die, but not the fish in the water. In fact, Rashi says that later on. Rashi in Parak Zayin, Pasuk Chav Beis, Mikol asher b'charava mesu. Everything in the dry land died. Rashi says, V'loy dagim shabayam, not the fish in the sea. So why did Rashi wait until Parak Zayin, Pasuk Chav Beis to say that? Why didn't Rashi say that in Parak Vav, Pasuk Yud Zayin, Kol asher ba'aretz yigva? Apparently you see something interesting. That earlier it says everything on the earth will die. The word earth, maybe, could include the eretz and the mayim, the land and the water. Like it says, hashamayim v'haaretz. And aretz includes l'chayra, the water also. So the word aretz, when it says everything on the aretz will die, it doesn't mean that it excludes the water. But then when it says everything in the dry land will die, so that excludes dagim shabayam. So that should make us think, did Hashem have did things switch? Did Hashem have a change of heart? Why at first did Hashem say, Kol asher ba'aretz yigva, and then later he said, Mikol asher b'charava mesu? Was the original plan that even the fish should die, and somehow Hashem had rachmanis on the fish, and only asher b'charava? Meaning, what happened over here? Why did that happen? Parak Ches Pasuk Aleph. Vayizkar Elokim es Noach. Elokim remembered Noach. Rashi points out Elokim is Midas Hadin, and it was transformed to Midas Harachamim through the prayer of the tzaddikim and the wickedness of the through the prayer of tzaddikim. So, in other words, God is having mercy on Noach, even though it invokes the shame of din. But Noach, through his tefillah, was able to be mahapech, the Midas Hadin, into Midas Harachamim. So here's my question. Then why earlier from Perek Zayin, Pasuk Aleph, why there, when Hashem was telling Noach, I'm going to save you, was Vayomer Hashem LeNoach. There it uses the Midas Harachamim. And then apparently what it seems like is that earlier on Hashem just had Rachamim on Noach. But Noach was not Mahapich, the Midas Hadin, into Midas Harachamim. But here, Vayizkar Elokim es Noach, Noach was actually mahapich the Midas Hadin into Midas Harachamim, which is a much higher madrega. And maybe this is the reason why we quote this pasuk in Zechronos on Rosh Hashanah, that even though Rosh Hashanah is the day of Midas Hadin, like it says in Eov, Vayavoyu, the Malachim came to stand before Elokim, nevertheless, al yedei the tefillah of Noach was successful and being mahapichet to Midas Harachamim. Okay. Now, one more idea. In Parak Tes, Pasuk Chaf, Vayochel Noach Ishu Adama. No, I'm sorry. Oh. Vayochel Noach. Vayita Karem. He planted a vineyard. Rashi said, how did he plant a vineyard? Says Rashi, when he entered the Tava, he brought wine shoots with him. He brought fig shoots with him. Now it was striking to me. Why did Noach Davka bring these species into the Tava? So Sifsei Chachamim says, well, wine, grape, and fig, they get ruined easily. But we all know that there are various opinions what the Eitz Hadas was. Was it a grape? Was it a fig? Maybe Noach somehow brought these specific species in order to rectify the sin of the Eitz Hadas. But then the question would be, why didn't he bring an esrog? Now we know that Noach was accountable for first planting a wine branch, a vineyard. He should have planted wheat, which is the other opinion of what the Eitz Hadas is. But it's interesting to me that of the four opinions of what the Eitz Hadas is, Noach basically brought two of them with him on the Tava. Okay, one last question. So Noach sends out the dove. And the first time he sends out the dove, the pasuk says, Vayachel oid. He waited 7 days. But the second time, it says, Vayiyachel. Rashi says, Vayachel is a lashon of Yispael. It's reflexive. It's reflexive. Why the first time did Noach only wait, and it says a lashon of Vayachel, and the second time it was reflexive? You know, what is that indicating? What is that demonstrating? Was there some kind of reflection that Noach had to contemplate before he sent out the Yoina a second time? Was something he had to think about? Something he had to reflect upon? Why the first time is it Vayachel and the second time Vayiyachel? Okay, Rabbi Sai, how much fun could you have already in 1 week? You know, these are the end of the questions on Parshas Noach, and now I would like to resume our Seder on Biur Tefillah. So we're going to start that momentarily.